Yep.
Welcome back to Making Me Watch Movies.
Yep.
The movie you're making me watch today is The Box in 2009, directed by Richard Kelly,
It sure was.
starring Marsden,
James Marsden.
and Cameron Diaz. Schwartz's pick. What's
Don't
your
forget the great Frank Langella. He was great in this.
Frank Langella can suck my.
I don't
What's
think
your-
anyone's great in this.
Anybody
He was
haikus?
Skeletor, dude.
Got haikus?
Oh shit! Did I write a full haiku? I was dabbling with a haiku. I don't think it was very. I have. It's not very good.
Yeah, I don't like mine either.
I feel like I have a strong
Schwartz,
middle
I don't think
line,
you
but
actually have
I couldn't think of good bookend lines. But my middle lines, my 7-syllable lines,
Give it to
pretty
me.
solid.
I'll add it to mine.
All right, shallow side of the deep end.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm good.
But the other parts, I couldn't think of a good. Yeah.
Nah, fuck that line. I actually like that line.
All right, here we go. There were aliens. A lot of shit going on. What's in the box? You gotta add a second
that's
syllable to the box.
I like how you had the question mark if there were aliens, because it was very.
Yeah.
What?
There were
What is
aliens,
it?
question
Is it?
mark.
Is it?
were
I don't
aliens?
know. Yeah. Is there?
Hold
I
on.
don't know.
Yes,
There were
There
aliens?
were aliens.
Were there? Were
They
there?
were. They came in the lightning.
But that wasn't necessarily aliens. It could have been
Lightning?
like God or some spiritual shit.
No, I'm pretty sure they're aliens.
But it was never like these are aliens. There was never like any distinct. Like they left it very ambiguous, which sometimes is fun. But this movie, the ambiguity was like kind of annoying because they crammed so much bullshit into this to make
This
it
movie's
seem.
dumb. Yeah.
It was like, is it sci-fi? Is it spirituality? Is it supernatural? Is it this?
Have
Is
you
it that?
seen
It's
this
it
guy's
was just
other
like,
movies?
oh, it's much
You
more-
guys, you guys seen these guys' other movies?
yeah.
You ever see Donnie Darko?
Oh,
Donnie
yeah,
Darko
Donnie
was
Darko.
cool because it came
Ever
out
see Southland
at
Tales?
a time when we were that age and it was a unique new movie. But after that, Southland Tales is trash and The Box is trash.
Well,
'Cause he-
Southland Tales is actually my favorite one of his movies, and Donnie
That's 'cause
Darko
you're a
definitely better
dum-dum.
than this. But this was a good movie. This is an original movie. This is a movie that asks
There-
a lot of questions and has you interpret it any way you want.
There
just
is
like
one
Southland
cool
Tales
thing
and
about
Donnie
this
Darko.
movie. There's
Just
one
'cause
cool
it
thing,
did
one cool
those.
question in this movie, and that's will you hit the button for $1 million if you know somebody else dies? That's the only cool thing in this movie.
Yeah.
Every
Well, that's
other
what this
plot
movie's
point.
based off of.
Yeah, I know,
Right.
and
It's
that's
a
why,
20
and that's cool.
It's a 20-page fucking short story published in Playboy.
Yeah.
That's the original thing.
Maybe you should have stayed there, or
And
maybe
that's
it should have
all
been
it
a
was.
short
So
film.
He loved it so much that he made it into a movie, and he had
Well,
to.
they did a what's it called? The Twilight Zone episode on it, and that was basically the short film, and that's all the first part. That's all it was set up with this is the box. You get this much money if you push the button, but someone will die, and then they get to the point where okay, finally she pushes the button, and then the guy comes back, gets the box, and it's like. Now someone else you don't know will get this opportunity, and that's all it was. And that's the only intriguing part about this movie. The rest of the shit was just a bunch of shoehorned in bullshit that seemed weird and unnecessary.
Well,
Weird
do you
and
not
unnecessary.
like interesting? The thing about this movie is it makes you think a little bit. It's
No, it
interesting to
doesn't.
think what's you. So you weren't thinking what's going to happen next. You were thinking who is this guy? You
Yeah,
were-
No,
no,
I was
all of that
thinking
was
this
great,
is
but-
a bunch of
All-
convoluted bullshit.
I think
You weren't
all of
thinking-
this shit that had to do with NASA and all this shit that had to do with like the aliens and all this shit that had to do with her foot and all of that was just like who gives a shit? Why that all of that's
Exactly.
just fucking fluff to make a long enough movie to call feature length.
I mean,
Like the
that's not untrue. Like he
The
had to make all that shit up to make this into a feature. You just didn't like that. You didn't like any of that. You
It
didn't like
was-
the family dynamic.
It didn't need to be a feature
Yeah, it
like
was
it, did-
because it-
it- the
was-
initial
yeah,
idea is
unnecessary.
interesting, and beyond that, it's all the shit Richard Kelly added to it,
Yeah.
which made it kind of whack.
Which apparently which was
Overly
just his life
complicated,
story.
and it was, yeah.
It was-
His mom,
had a fucked up
Man.
foot.
his daddy worked at NASA.
Yeah, his mom had a fucked up foot and was the teacher at his middle school, and his dad worked at NASA and made like all of that was true. That's why he put it in. And when and that even after I saw that, it made me not like it even more. I was just like,
I
who gives a
agree.
shit? Why am I
was-
watching your fucking life story? What are you, Spielberg?
It made me think it was like less creative. The fact that he just like, I'll just base these characters off my parents, and then I'll just. It's like I get
he
he
wanted
probably
to
was
be-
a fan
he
of
was
the
like-
initial idea, and-
Yeah.
which is a good initial idea.
And he was
The
like, how do
box
I
thing,
make
it's-
this long enough?
Yeah,
I-
oh, let's
I mean,
add in
I agree that
maybe
that is what
aliens
happened.
or maybe religious things, and then
Oh, yeah.
I'll
and
make
then there
it
were aliens.
ambiguous because I don't have a real answer to it. So I'm gonna just make it weird.
Why do you need
and then
a real
I'll
answer
add
to it?
in
Why can't
the
you make
water
a movie about
effect
what
that
you
was
wanna
in
make
Donnie
the movie about?
Darko, and add in weird wormholes of shit I already did, and then it'll be cool. And then
Okay, so Filmmakers interconnect
fuck
worlds all
that
the
guy.
time. Look at the
There's
shit
a
behind you.
reason
That
this guy
the guy
hasn't.
behind you on the wall interconnects all his movies in his own world. This could be his own fucking universe.
And they're all
And-
good
and what
movies.
am I-
Your mic's plugged in.
They're mostly good. And yeah, it's well plugged in. And
Earphones too, because you seem to have a problem with listening to people.
Why do I have a problem listening to people? I'm listening to you spew
Oh,
bullshit.
you cut a lot of people off. So you don't seem to wait.
Well,
till
I
people are
gotta
done
say
talking,
good things. You're
and then you
saying
just
dumb
go.
things. I gotta cut
Well,
off
you
the
should
dumb shit.
maybe wait till we say the dumb things and then counter it instead of just
All right,
like
since we're fighting, can you just double check
shoehorning
to
your
make
ideas
sure that
in like
you're
Richard
coming
Kelly
out of your
shoehorned
mic?
all
I know,
his
but like
dumb
on your
fucking
thing,
ideas
make
in.
sure it's coming out on your thing. Click on the microphone tab and see that it's coming out of whatever your microphone's called.
It is. Same as it
Microphone.
always is.
It sounds all right.
All right.
I don't
Same
hear any
as it always is.
weirdness.
All right, just checking.
Sounds right on my end.
All right, cool.
Why do you need answers to that? Why can't you just have what it is? There's tons of movies. You ever watch a David Lynch movie? You ever watch a David Cronenberg movie? You ever watch movies that don't give you all definitive answers? I mean, if you want it to be religion, it could be religion. If you want it to be aliens, it could be aliens. I think it was super interesting. Like you said, the story of the box. Will she hit it? Will she not? The not thinking about it enough, like choosing your fucking well-being and not caring about someone else. That's the whole thing. Does it
Yeah.
have to do with aliens or not? That's interesting. Like
That's the best
that's
part.
what the family was about. Like they was trying to paint a picture of a Midwest family that is very, very cookie cutter
They're
and
from Virginia.
sad. Yeah, they're in Virginia now because that's where he works.
Not a Midwestern
fucking-
family because Cameron Diaz has a really shitty Southern accent, so they were implying that they're a Southern family.
I thought Cameron Diaz
thought
killed
I
it.
said Southern.
I
Sorry,
thought Cameron
I
Diaz
was
kind of sucked, and James Marsden. It's like both of their accents were like sometimes there, and then they sometimes weren't.
I thought
and
the
that's
acting was
just-
good.
I
I thought the
like
acting was
movies
terrible.
that don't give you a painted picture of things you've seen. This is something you've never seen before in the way it was told. It was interesting enough to keep my attention all the way through. I think that the fact that you don't know exactly what's going on, I thought Frank Langella was awesome.
Should
super
we
stoic.
Should we
super
get
interesting.
through? Should we talk about what the movie's about, or
No,
should
we will, but I can't just let this guy spew bullshit and not say shit. I gotta say what I gotta say now. I mean, the listeners are like pissed at this guy right now. We gotta get him back on our side.
Or they're like, this guy makes a lot of sense, and this other guy's a dumb dumb.
He's a cookie cutter. That's what they're saying.
I mean, I
That-
agree.
because
I think
majority of the people agree that this movie sucks, and you're the one that's
this movie.
waving
This
the
is a
flag
cult.
of being
This
good.
is a cult movie. This is a movie that people
I
go
don't
back
even
later
think
and
it
are like-
is, dude.
I mean, all three of
I
his
don't
movies
think
are.
it
That's
is.
just how they are. All three of those.
Donnie
movies are
I
Darko
think
is a cult
cult
following,
in
but
that
I don't
like
think
only the people that like him like it. I guess if that's what you're talking about, but it's not like popular by any means.
no. It's not
I
like
mean-
popular for being good. It's
I mean, none of
it's,
his-
it's universally known as being shitty
I mean,
think
people shit on it, and critics for sure shit on it. But I think it has a following.
because it's bad.
It definitely has a following.
I think
No, it's
people,
only bad because it's not normal.
I
It's
think
bad
people
because you don't
wanted it
like
to
because
be
it's not
more. I
normal.
think people wanted it to be what I wanted it to be, which
I
is
agree.
like really going in depth with the box and the morality behind that, and then I mean
But that's
that
what the whole
alone,
movie's about.
Yeah, it's about what like a quarter or a third of the
So
movie's
you're
about.
saying it would have been more interesting if the box was made by a regular fucking guy who wasn't in a quote unquote alien
No, I
or
never
wasn't in a
said
quote
that.
religious thing? And so why? What do you mean? Why is the alien thing a bad thing? Why is the
There
way he went with
wasn't
it bad?
an alien
How
thing.
is it bad?
I think
necessarily.
just all the rest of the story was just all the fluff I could have done without
Yeah.
because
Like, which
when the movie first started, I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize this had to do with NASA. But it didn't really. It was just like a backdrop of it. So that kind of disappointed me.
Spoiler
all
alert!
just-
When they made the fucking thing, it got in touch with the alien and it decided to fucking test the human race
You're
if they were going to
saying
make them go extinct or not. That's what the
alien
movie's about, Anthony. That's what
definitively,
the movie's about.
and it's not definitively aliens.
They go to Mars, Jake. What could it be? Okay, it could be a god then, if you want.
It could be a god.
Aliens are interpretation of God, in my opinion. You know what
There
I mean?
is
So we
there's
can go that way, too.
implications, but you're definitively saying it's aliens, which I don't think.
Well, I'm
is
telling you my
necessarily right.
fucking way I'm thinking about it. So
Okay.
what's your thing about that? What are
I don't know. I mean, I think
Yeah, let's
the
talk about
alien
religion.
thing is the most kind of implied, but it could be other things.
Like?
It could be like God and Satan.
Sure,
Like,
but there's
who is
really absolutely no hint of that at all.
There,
There's a lot of hints of
there
aliens, but no
certainly
hints of that.
is.
Of
Biblically,
Satan?
there. Yes, Frank Langella is playing the serpent in the Adam and Eve story, and Adam and Eve
Oh,
are
for sure.
the families, the mother and the father. It's the women that are always pushing the button. It's Eve who initially took the bite of the apple, It's,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's a
That's
I didn't
biblical.
think about that.
That was
I didn't think
definitely
about
not lost on me either.
No,
that. I didn't think about that.
so there's, like you said, it's open to interpretation, but to me, the way he did that, and I do enjoy movies that leave some ambiguity. This one, I don't think did it very well, I guess. I don't know exactly how to say that, but I just don't think they did a good job with that.
So you think it was the bad part of the movie is how it was made, is the directing?
Yeah, it was bad direction and it was just too convoluted and it was a lot of fluff. Like, and I agree with what
A lot of fluff.
Anthony was saying. A lot of fluff. Initially, the idea that wasn't Richard Kelly's idea was good, and up to the point where even when Franklin Gella was like, "And now I'm going to give it to someone who doesn't know you," like that part, I was like, "Oh shit."
That was cool.
That was cool, but then after that, it was all fucking downhill, I think.
I don't know, man. I was interested in it the whole time. I watched
Man,
it with
I wish-
Dreamliner. He had never seen it before, and he was like, "This is one of the craziest fucking movies I've ever seen." He's like, "This is dope."
I was interested the whole time, but I was disappointed by like just kind of the lackluster of the main point, which was the box. It's just like
There's only so many ways you can go about that, though, and I think he chose a way that he thought was cool. But if we're going back to it, if you think about Donnie Darko, you think about Southland Tales, there's no really through narrative. They are kind of just like ideas that he builds scenes around that don't really, they're like David Lynch type of shit. You know what I mean? There's not always a reason or a meaning behind anything. There is, but it's not something that you necessarily know. It's whatever he was thinking, you know what I mean? And that's how his movies kind of work. And that's probably why he's only made 3 movies, because I don't think there's studios that are willing to back his shit because of that. I mean, this movie was made for $30 million and it made $33 million. That's a loss because you got to figure, you got to pay to advertise it. You got to put it in theaters. You got to do all that shit. So they probably lost like $10-15 million on this fucking movie. And that's the last thing he ever made. He wrote Domino, which was directed by Ridley Scott or Tony Scott.
Was that
but
after this, or is that
was
during
after
the
this,
during
yeah.
the 3? Okay.
I think it was right
Yeah.
after. They might have
they made
might
that
have been
movie
like
and then Tony
coinciding
Scott
with it.
killed himself.
Like, I'm just saying, if he still had good ideas, like you were trying to bring up the director behind me, Tarantino, he continues
I was
to
talking
give
about world
good
building.
ideas. And okay, but
That's all I meant. That's all I was comparing to that. Am I
Richard
comparing
Kelly-
the writing of Tarantino's movies to Richard Kelly? No, I'm talking about the world. Directors do that. I was just using that as an example because right behind you, like in most of those movies, there's like Red Apple cigarettes, or the last person, one of the people in that is in Inglourious Basterds is related to someone in fucking Reservoir Dogs. You know what I mean? That's
okay,
how it
well,
works.
but that's not what Richard Kelly was doing.
No,
he was
that's
just
not- that's the
making
only thing
movies.
I'm
He's
saying.
just making movies that have similar tones, which is convoluted sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, I dig it. I personally dig it. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. I think it's kind of making something you want to make and not having to deal with the norms of what it should or could be. I think that's cool. I think if you get a chance to do that, you're getting lucky.
I'll give it that I was interested enough that I was kind of almost thought like, I wonder if he has a director's cut. Not that I want to see a longer version of this, but if he has a director's cut, I wonder if it makes more sense. Because I remember years ago, I watched the Donnie Darko director's cut, which I feel like most people weren't really into. But I remember coming out of that, like kind of appreciating it more because I'm like, okay, some of those little loose ends were more explained in this. And I kind of liked that because it kind of like tied it together a little bit better for me. So if there are things that were left out for any particular reason, like maybe it'd be good to have those. Maybe there's, because there was a lot of this movie that just, they were, even the main characters, like they were here, then they were there. And like, it didn't really make sense how they got to certain places. So
I
maybe-
think this movie looked like a dream,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it was like just could have been anything that you want it to be. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah,
movie
'cause
looked like a fucking dream. It was very whimsical. It was very
yeah,
soft.
they had that Vaseline schmear lens
Yeah.
look.
Yeah, which is you don't see very often. I think it fit this really well.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I
I
think
didn't
it fit
hate.
it really well.
Thought it looked nice. It was also like set in the 70s, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had the
It kinda
70s
looked
look
like
to
that.
it,
It
definitely.
looked
It
nice.
made it
All right,
for
well-
the time period, it made sense for sure.
I guess we should talk about it a little bit. then.
Let's
But-
do it.
All
right, so-
we talked quite a bit about it.
we did, but let's talk
Said a lot
about
of
what it
fucking
is. I
shit
guess.
about it.
So it's based, like we said, it's based off a short story. It opens up with a couple in bed, Cameron Diaz and James Marsden. They get a ring at the doorbell. It's like probably like 5-6 in the morning. I think the sun's like coming up or about to come up. And there's a box at the door, and it's like
5:45.
is it 5:45? Yeah, whatever. It's sun's coming up. There's just a regular box at the door. It's wrapped very plainly, and they open it, and it's a button in a case that's just holding encasing the button, kind of like a panic button or
Cool
a button
prop.
you would press. Yeah, very cool, very cool.
Yeah, a box with a dome, and
Yeah.
under the dome is the button.
Like a nice
Yeah,
wooden
kind of like when you
box.
see like a button like in a movie that you're not supposed to push. You know what I mean? It's one of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
type of
And
buttons.
it's locked too.
Yes, it is locked.
They can't
And
open the dome.
then they have no fucking clue like what the hell's going on. And then later on,
There's a note.
Uh,
There's a note with the box that's from Steward saying
Yeah,
like
Mr.
he'll be
Steward.
he'll be visiting later or something along those lines.
yes,
Why
and
did
what
you
he
just
tells
drop
him,
it? Doorbell bitch.
I think it's just to build the anticipation. You know what I mean? That's for humans, the human curiosity. What the fuck is this? So he comes by later, tells the wife because the dad's at work that in this briefcase I have $1 million, and if you push this button, I will give you this $1 million. But someone somewhere who you do not know will die, and that's it. If you want this key will open this box, and that's how it goes. And he gives her a time limit, right? How long is the time? Is it 1 day?
I believe it's 1 day. I believe
Yeah,
it's
you have
24
1
hours,
day.
yeah.
I'll be back tomorrow at this time, and you know give me your answer. If you push the button, I'll give you the money, and if not, then I'll take the box back. So at the same time that happens, it's also introducing the husband, which he works at NASA. He works for the Mars Project, which is sending a unmanned, what do they call them, rovers or whatever the fuck they're
Yeah,
called,
like a camera to space, basically.
camera to space to photograph
Mars.
Mars. And the father is one of the guys who designed the cameras to do this. I think he's the main designer, and he's also wants to be an astronaut. That's why he works at NASA. And he gets his evaluation of like if he's going to be chosen to be an astronaut or not, and he passes everything except for the psych test, and that right there gives you a little bit of like,
Yeah, what's that all about?
I mean, I think he's just not a good guy.
Crazy.
He's
And
not
then
a
they
good
set-
person?
And they set up little things like their kid or the tuition for the school the kid's going to
Yep.
is like getting
Getting
getting more expensive because who she's a teacher of, they don't have the teacher discount next year or something like that.
Mhm.
Also, she needs surgery on her foot, and
Well,
they
I was going to get into that. Also,
was
at the
a
same
whole
time,
scene of the
this scene.
like, yo, let's see those tootsies, baby.
So this is the only scene in the movie that I agree with you guys absolutely hated. I know you guys hated this movie, but this scene I hated because I thought to myself, why the fuck would she just do that? Like, why didn't she just like?
Yeah,
And
shut the
who's this
fuck up,
creepy
dude.
kid?
But
yeah.
hold on,
And when
now
she
that
pulls
you
the
guys
foot
said,
out, it's fucking
now
weird.
that you guys said the whole religious thing, which I didn't, I guess it's because I'm not a very religious person. I didn't really pick up on that, and I knew it was quote unquote, in my opinion, aliens. I
don't know
think what
shit.
that was about is that dude was tempting her now because in the movie he's like one of the guys who goes like this, and he's also
Yeah, what was that for?
that
He's
was kinda one of the
connected
pick
to
of the
that
second
whole. He was one of the people being.
being
which
brainwashed
there-
by Steward. Hold on. Let's
I
get
don't want to
there.
jump
Let's
ahead,
get
right?
there.
Let's get there.
there.
So, but I got opinions on
So
this shit.
anyway, as that guy's failing the psych test, it also shows that she's a teacher at this school. Like Jake said, she's about to lose the teacher discount, so her son goes to this school, and it's a great school, I guess. That's why she teaches there.
That's the best.
And then this kid's like, why do you limp? Why do you have such a fucking limp? Let us see why you limp. And she's like, all right. And she takes off her fucking shoe, and she's got a snaggle foot. Like, this thing is fucked up. She's got
She's
one
got a
toe.
pinky toe.
one pinky toe that looks like Gollum's toe, and it's not good.
Hey, it's a normal pinky toe. It's just when it's the only one there.
I guess. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And I actually liked the subpar but good enough special effects in this movie because I think for what it was, it kind of added to it. I think it was almost like
I think her foot
B-movie-ish.
looks fine,
You
but
know
I
what
thought
I mean?
I thought his face was just terrible.
Yeah,
Oh,
that,
really? I
that
like
face
that.
was very
Terrible.
jarring every time you looked at it. It looked like a fucking CGI just stamped on his face. and it
Stamped.
just looked-
Like,
was just
none
bad.
of his
I
other
can't argue that,
face,
but I didn't mind it.
none of his other face was affected by whatever happened to that face. Like you'd think there would be some kind of. It just looked like it was painted on and one side of his face. Like they just paint and then they just green screen that out and was like.
I guess
"All
we
right."
didn't talk about that. Mr. Stewart, the guy who shows up to give her
he's
the
all
box,
fucked up.
looks like half of his face was like bitten off or chewed off or pulled off, like at his jawline going down to like his clavicle, I'd say. Is it that low? Maybe it's not that low. It's like his jawline to the middle of his neck, right?
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Most of
Middle
his
to the neck.
cheeks gone. His
Yeah,
cheeks
it's like
gone.
it seemed like half of his jaw was like removed or something. I don't know.
So
And we
after
never
this
figure
scene-
out why. But...
Yeah, all don't forget
Well,
all
they
the
kinda
while
do.
the
they
foot
say he got
thing.
struck by lightning.
The foot thing conveniently is explained in another scene with the husband, disconnected scene, but for
Talking
some
to
reason
his coworker.
because he's working on some sort of apparatus for her foot.
Yep.
And then he's just like, and him and his coworkers are sitting around goofing around, and he's just like, by the way, what happened to your wife's foot? And then he goes explanation about how like the brother dropped a dumbbell on it, and then her foot got stuck in an X-ray machine, or like forgotten about. Like the doctor
left it, and that happened to his mom in real life. That's the crazy part. That really happened to his mom.
Like, it seems completely not needed for this movie, and
Not
that seems
needed.
just like super just jammed in by Richard Kelly. That's my problem. There's a lot of these just jammed in things that don't seem to be necessary.
Yeah,
Like
he was like, I love my
draw.
parents. I want to make a movie with my parents in it.
Do you
Yeah,
not
that
want
was,
subtext in a movie? Like, why can't the subtext
I
he
do,
chose be
but
okay?
it had nothing to do with the
unnecessary
movie,
because it's
though.
not. It has nothing to do with it.
The movie's about a family who's got to make a decision. So it's supposed to tell you all about the
Okay.
family. And it's telling you all about the family.
Yeah.
You guys just don't like the family he chose. That's all you guys don't like.
I like
you don't
Cameron
think it's
Diaz.
good
I
enough.
thought Cameron
It's
Diaz killed
crazy.
it.
It just didn't help the main part of the movie. It didn't add to it. It was just there. It didn't help.
So the fact that his wife didn't have a foot and he wanted to make her something to make her happier and easier, well, didn't help. Like, it was
I don't
showing you
think
what
it
he was
was-
doing for his family.
I guess it
Like,
helped
the
him.
plot
It
is
helped
about-
being him being a good dude, but other than that. But then, like, they
that's what
tried
it
they
was.
try to make it relate to the guy with the missing jaw, even though like they didn't need to have that guy's character. And it was funny at one point. She was like, "I just thought we were connected because we are both disfigured." And you cut to her; she's beautiful, Cameron Diaz, and it's like Frank Langella with half a face, and it's like this isn't the same level with
Well,
like your
listen,
foot. It's
That's
just-
what he said. I listened to what Richard Kelly said. He wanted to magnify it because if it was on her face in her dialogue, that was what it was. If it's on her face, she would feel even more fucking crazy. You know what I mean? She would.
Right, it just
would be that
just
much.
like a
That's why
funny
she felt
comparison.
connected to him.
And I get that, and it just felt like a funny comparison because she's like gorgeous, describing like I'm disfigured too. It's like, bitch, please.
Yo, if she was
Like-
walking around on the street though, you would be looking at her foot, not her face. You know what I mean,
If she was walking around barefoot,
barefoot,
limping
yeah,
around,
you
maybe,
would
but like
be.
she was doing a pretty decent job. She had a minor limp at that. So it
If
seemed like she
anyone's
was,
walking around barefoot out on the street, I'm looking at their feet. It doesn't matter if they're disfigured or
That's
not.
true.
I'm looking at
I mean,
their
I
feet
see,
and you're like, what
I
the
see a whole lot of homeless people out here with like fucked up feet because of their diabetes and drug
Also, let's be
addiction and
honest,
shit. with their
If Cameron
fucking
Diaz
bloated
was walking
feet.
down the street in fucking flip flops, I'm looking at her feet. I'm looking at Cameron
Well,
Diaz's feet no matter
Oh,
what.
yeah, for
I'm not a
sure.
foot guy. Foot do nothing for me.
Well, you got to have toes on them.
Well,
to be
yeah, but
attractive.
toes.
I'm
So
hoping
the
that wasn't
toes
a
are
real
what
foot.
attracts you. The toes are the sexy part. Is that
Oh,
what
toes are
people like?
definitely-
Toes?
They're
part
like
of the- part of
the,
the
the
sexiness.
cherry on top. Yeah,
They're like little dicks. You guys like
they're like
dicks?
they're like the nipple to the
Cameron
boob.
Diaz only had
Oh,
one
better
cherry.
comparison. Better
Yeah.
comparison. There you go. Nipple to the boob.
The
Really?
nipple to the
I'm not
boob.
into feet. Are you guys into feet?
That's
Is
like
that a thing?
5 nipples, baby.
I'm
Is that a
not
thing
not
for you?
into feet.
Okay.
I'm kind of into feet.
I'll kiss a foot.
All right.
Suck a toe.
So anyway,
back.
where are we? You find out
Not
she has
the
a
Suck it
foot.
to
single
me.
pinky toe though. That would be something I wouldn't want to do. Is suck on that weird little pinky. I'd be like, can I get the other toe over? Get the other foot over here.
See,
Sorry,
that's why
go on.
James
Sorry,
Marsden
sorry,
needed to do
sorry,
that.
sorry to interrupt.
That's why
Go on.
Marsden needed to do that shit, dude.
He wants that. He wants that surgery to get those toes back, dude.
All right, so let me get to the fucking back to the story. So now they're arguing over whether or not they should push this button because they need the tuition, and this dude's not going to be an astronaut. So I guess he's gonna have to fucking maybe he's going to make as much money. I don't fucking know. They go to
I
sleep
still
on
don't
it.
understand what the point of
I think
him
so.
of them being like, oh, he's a psychopath or whatever. He didn't pass.
Well,
his
they didn't say he was a
psychoevaluation.
psychopath. They just said he didn't pass the psychopath. I think it's to add to the whole moral thing of it is will they push the button, will they not? I think that's just to add to that.
I think it is, but it doesn't add to it at all. It does. It's
Yeah, maybe.
part of
I
it.
mean, I guess.
It's just part of the explanation
Him
of why
not
he's not a,
getting the
not a
like
astronaut
promotion
for
or
not-
whatever, that
yeah.
certainly adds to it. But the
That's the reason why he didn't get it.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
never
I know,
revisited
but,
that.
Like,
it
why,
never really.
why
went
did they
anywhere.
specify that as the reason that it made it sound like that was going to come back around somehow?
Maybe to jump forward a little bit is when he does kill his wife at the end. That is kind of
Why did you
maybe
say when he does that thing, he does it at the end?
when he spoiler alerts at the end, his wife when he
I forgot he did that. Fuck.
so that kind of ties into him being mentally unstable. So maybe
But
they can.
he
use
had
that
to,
again.
otherwise.
Oh, I know. I'm not defending what.
No, I
or-
think what he did showed that he had like a good heart and he did the right thing because I think everybody would have done that.
Yeah, but on paper he's crazy, so they can convict him.
I asked
easier.
Jillian, I was like, "Would you be cool if I killed you?" And they'd be like, "Well, we don't have any kids, so they wouldn't have chosen us for this experiment."
Yeah, it's a good move.
And I said, "Nice." but I'm still gonna kill you. What if they're like, it's either you or me? I'd be like,
All the
would you be
dogs.
cool with it. But
What
Penny.
did she say?
What if Penny was
I don't remember what she said, but I know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
What if
what would you
Penny
choose,
was-
Jillian
yeah.
or Penny?
Yeah, what if Penny was deaf and blind in the bathroom? And you had to kill-
Penny's are
Gotta
almost
kill-
deaf and blind.
No, she's not.
No,
Okay,
she's actually
Peppa.
good. But she's fucking 11 years old. She's
Shouldn't look at over 8.
it's true. It's true. It's true, Pan. You listen. Hey, you can put oh shit.
Anyway, all right. So they're arguing over where should they do it, should they not do it, and then
Marsden even opens the box. She's like, "There's nothing in this box. It's not even
Oh, yeah.
fucking. This is
Okay,
bullshit."
so
This-
let's get I have questions. Questions. First of all,
All right.
the first time fucking No Face shows up, wouldn't you have a lot more questions to
Two-Face.
ask
about his face.
Yeah,
Huh?
she
You
was
mean
just
about
kind of.
the box or about him.
about how this whole thing works? He was like, somebody you know, it will die and you'll get $1 million.
Someone you don't know.
Whatever. And he was like,
No
like,
cops.
wouldn't you be like, okay, but then what happens after that? Like, am I like, I think one of my first things is like, am I like eligible to be the dead guy next time? Because that would come to my mind.
Yeah.
Are there zero repercussions? Would
What
be my
happens
first
to-
question.
Yeah, what happens afterwards? What's the catch? That we know what's
Right.
funny is I told Jillian, I was like, well, but there's like, what's the catch of this? She was like, the catch is someone dies. She's like, you don't see that as like the catch? I was like, oh well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But like for me, what happens? I don't know. I feel like I would have a lot more questions as to what does my well-being look like after I press this button and you leave.
Well, I also think those are questions that he wants you to ask yourself as opposed to him. Like, I don't think he's supposed to answer that question. I think you're supposed to think about that. I think that's
she
part
didn't
of it.
even
It's
try.
like, yeah, well,
Did she, or was I feel like he was also like,
he was very like, I gotta go.
not explain any more than that.
Yes,
This is all
he
this is
basically
the
said
only
this is
information
it.
I can give you. And if you call the cops, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, I think
Which
that's the
she
point,
did call
Anthony,
the
is
cops
that
and-
those questions are questions you ask
dude
yourself
did.
and your partner.
Okay,
and
so
when you
he
figure it out.
specifically said, I'm not saying more than this.
No, he didn't, and she didn't ask. But I think the reason why she didn't ask, and the reason why he didn't say anything, is because that's the case.
Because when it became the case of him being like, I'm gonna give this to someone you don't know.
Yes.
Wink, wink. I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that going into it of being like, oh shit, you could be the next person.
Yeah.
I would have just
You
been
didn't?
like, million.
Yeah. See, Anthony,
It's so
that's your
funny.
answer, because most people would just take the money.
Everybody
People
took
are-
the money. That
people
was the
are
whole
took it
experiment he
eventually.
was doing.
Everyone
Every
took it.
single
Yeah,
person
everyone
took
did
the
it.
money.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: I don't think they keep us around when the movie ends.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Would you?
The
push for that?
aliens.
So is that what it was? Was it an alien experiment to see if we're worth keeping?
That's how
Aliens
I took it.
or
Jake didn't take
God?
it that way, but I took it that way.
Aliens or God?
Because he
Dave
just
Young-
kept saying
Aliens
Jake-
seem to
the
make
people
more
I work
sense.
for.
Exactly. Didn't really
People
like
that
it.
employ
Didn't
me.
it didn't explain it. Aliens also make sense. And I'm just saying it seemed to be. It could have gone either way.
And then
But
also, what
I
the
preferred
fuck
the
happened?
aliens.
Like, where are we within the plot right now?
Well, this is why I think Aliens
it
makes
w-
more sense, because they're working on the Martian project, and the
I-
lightning
yeah, no,
came
I-
from
I-
Mars,
I
and
agree.
that's when everything changed. And he says, like, I work for the people who came from that place or whatever, and also like the music and the fucking lair of him, and everything just blows away the alien fucking theory. Like it's aliens, dude.
If they were more like it's
What
aliens,
the
dude,
fuck do you think it is?
then
If
I
it's not-
almost would
so
have
to
liked
me-
her.
Sorry,
If
I'm
it was
breaking
like,
up.
if it actually was alien, if it was just like straight up, this is what it is, I probably would have been like, oh, crazy,
Well,
aliens
this
are
is what
doing
I mean,
this.
Jake, they didn't show the aliens, and I think that's what you have a problem with. But honestly, in a situation like that, an experiment, they would never show themselves. They would never make themselves known.
They don't
They
need
would
to
keep it an
show 'em.
experiment.
They
But
just
what
need
the
to
fuck
be
are
like-
you
aliens?
gonna
You
say?
friends with the
Answer
aliens?
the
You need them
question.
to say alien? Is that what you need? You
Pretty
need them to
much.
say alien. That's
Yep.
kind of shit. That's kind of dumb, Jake. It makes you sound a little unintelligent.
No,
Unintelligent.
Yeah.
if they were just,
Like you've been
More
lacking
straight up.
protein for the past 15
Yes.
years.
You got to get
they're
some
just
protein.
if they're just more straight up about it, and not just leaving it all like
They throw
Ooh,
it in your
could have
face.
gone either way. No, they don't.
Yes, they do. They
What,
throw
Neither
it
of
alien
in
them.
your
thing?
face. Yes,
Yeah.
it's thrown in your face.
No,
I
I
mean-
don't think it is.
So what do you think it is? A god?
Explain it then.
Or you
Explain it.
just
How is it
I
not
think it.
aliens?
No, it does make more. It does make more sense that it's aliens. Yes, of course, but it doesn't. It just the left.
this guy
It's still
say?
like dumb ambiguity to it.
Schwartz's head just
This
exploded.
guy hates ambiguity. He needs fucking. He's like he should actually.
No,
I'm not
in
gonna say
this
that.
sense, it didn't do a good job with it. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
that's cool.
agree.
Good job.
I agree because in the end I was just like this. Oh, was it aliens? That's what I
Exactly,
That
I was
was
just
my
like,
question.
Okay.
So
I mean, I loved the end when he got the ultimatum and he had to do that. I thought that was great. I thought that's what their retribution was. That's
But
their
they-
second chance.
I didn't
And I
like
guess
it
that
because they
leads more
already
to the
told
religious
you that
thing.
it was gonna happen before it happened. That was
And I
another
guess
part.
that
I'm like,
also leads you to the religious aspect of it again, like you're saying, because in Catholic religion, all you have to do is atone for your sins, and then you get forgiven. So basically, by killing yourself, killing her, they atoned, right? But I wasn't going that way. I'm just saying you could see it like that. I guess
I guess.
it was aliens. It was blatantly aliens.
Whatever things I liked about this movie, the box situation, I liked how it kind of jumped around with like someone shooting their wife and like running out, and then like they kept going to that 911 dispatch, like that kept it would just kept revealing a little more and more to a point where I was just like, why, like it was putting that all together, seeing that he was shooting her because like once it all, like putting that all together was fun. That I liked. It was just all the fluff that I didn't like. I did think it was a little silly that he was like somewhere in the world, someone you don't know will get. It was just someone down the street. It wasn't like someone like where
Yeah.
I think.
But
Like,
also,
I
if
wor-
he would
I
have
work
said
with
that,
guy, I don't know him, but yeah, I
Yeah.
work with that guy.
Yeah,
also, if he would have said that, you probably would automatically say no because you might know that person down the street. You know what I mean? It's all about if it's someone you don't know. It's sacrificing. It's if you would sacrifice someone else for you. That's what it's about. And if you,
You know
do
what?
that, if you know that person, you're probably going to say no. 'cause
Yeah.
You know what the
that person.
original was? The
I just-
original actual short story was. Do you know what the ending was?
Yeah, he
What?
dies, right?
The husband is the person she doesn't know, and the dude's just
Yeah.
like, "Well, did you really
If you
know?"
really know your husband. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
See,
And
that's
that was
way
the end of the
cooler.
story.
That's way cooler is if it was someone that they thought they knew, you know.
Mhm.
Which he
Because
poses
knowing is
that question.
subjective.
Marsden poses that question. How well do you know? Like, what is the definition of know? Like, he says something like that.
Yeah, true. It does.
True.
And so
Marsden
if
answering our
that
questions.
if that was the point of showing that it was someone technically that maybe you would think you knew because you worked with it, like if that was the whole point of it just being someone down the street, I don't know. I think that was a little lost. They should have thrown it in your face by making it like the kid or something. Like you don't even
Their
know, you don't
kid?
know your own child, you know? Like
Yeah.
that would have been a cool, I don't know. The question of would you press the button, like that is what this movie's about. I think this movie kind of falls in the category of like the Purge movies where the idea is really solid and I'd really love to see it played out. But so far there hasn't been like a great movie where that really shows what I want to see in exploring that thought. I
Can't
think this
argue the Purge
movie
thing.
I think this movie is worlds better than the Purge. Any of the purges, but yeah, that's kind of what I think
mean,
about it. I think the idea is great, and
I think
and a lot of how it played out was great. Sorry, go ahead.
I think because you can ask all these questions of is it this, is it that, like is it supposed to mean that makes it interesting enough to make a movie about it. Like whether you like the characters and you like the family dynamic and you think that's all unnecessary fluff to get to the point of this is, I guess, opinion. But I do think that anything that makes you think about something that deep is successful in what it did. You know what I mean? I think, like you said, you liked the whole figuring it out with the operators, and so
Yeah, the
whether
good
you
parts
like
of
the
this movie
fluff or
were
not,
good.
It was cool. I think it's an interesting movie. Well, let's finish
The-
it then. Let me go through the end.
The fluff just I feel like it tried to make it more than it was, and I was trying to follow it, thinking this is going to be important, and then it was like, oh, it's just aliens. I don't understand. Who cares about her foot? Like, who the fuck cares about her foot?
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff about like the people they were controlling, all that shit was just like too much.
I got
Oh,
questions
yeah.
about
So-
that. Was
so-
that
go ahead.
a cult of regular people, or was Stewart controlling each one of those people individually?
He was controlling them, but he seemed like he was doing a pretty shitty job at controlling them.
So I don't think he was like controlling them, like in their mind,
were all, like, part of the
directing them.
game.
I think so. So who were they?
I don't know. There was
I didn't understand that, and
the
that
scene
I
of,
kinda
of
like
them
that.
like
I
all
kinda like
marching
that, but who were they?
into the train or plane or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to be like when something's going on, you have the question of like, well, it can't be this because everyone here would have to be in on it. And then they show like, oh, everyone was in on it. Like the whole town it's a Truman Show.
Well, the chick who babysits the kid, like the scene where you first see it is when she's looking at him, and behind the window behind him, you see someone standing there, only like their belly button to like their neck.
Yeah.
Right.
And she does nothing.
She acknowledges them,
Yeah.
and then and I was like, okay. So in my mind, I thought everyone whose nose bled was controlled by Stewart. Like he literally
Yes.
was like what
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
saying, they were saying, but I
Yeah.
don't think all those people's nose bled, so I don't think it was that far. So are those people just regular people?
They're somehow linked
I
together.
think
and
all
it
of
was-
their noses would have bled whether we saw it or not. I think they were all
Right.
controlled.
So
and
he was under control of them.
Yeah, and are they bleeding when he's just controlling them, or are they like because randomly they would like break out of it and be like,
Yeah.
"This is what's going on," blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and then they would like bleed, and then like,
Also,
that
and so
was
hold on,
weird.
who was controlling him?
exactly
box.
it was kind of Stewart,
Steward.
but was he controlling them? Like, how was he controlling them? It didn't really. That's where it just gets like fucking.
I
what
think
is this?
he controls all the people who bled for sure. That's what.
And
I
they're
heard
all
Richard
staying at the
Kelly
same
say.
Are
motel.
all those the people that hit the buttons? Or
I think that's the thing I don't understand. Are those people on buns? Are they a cult that worships these
aliens?
aliens? Are they
are they
aliens?
aliens?
Are they
like
the
drone
people,
aliens?
Are they the quote unquote religious fanatics? Like, who are they? But I don't necessarily need to know that. But
If you
that's
know
the
that,
one thing.
write us.
That's the
at-
one thing I kind of
What's your
wanted more
address,
of,
Jake?
to be honest. I wanted more of that.
I thought that was just didn't make sense. If they were being controlled, then control them. Not like why have all the like that was the I have employees everywhere type thing. Like he has like
Yeah.
ears everywhere. Those were the people he's talking about. And the people that kept doing like the two thing, like somehow they were
Yeah,
linked
what
to
was
that.
that? They were
Well, if-
connect. They were
Because it's
those-
like they were trying to help guide the dude to do the right thing. Like that
Well,
was
he
the
was
kid.
supposed to choose the second. Remember, when he goes in and the fucking water comes up in the squares. He was supposed
Yeah.
to choose the second one. And each,
okay.
each
Yeah.
one of those
What
telling
was
him to choose
that all about?
Exactly.
What the
Like
fuck
what the
was
fuck is
that
this?
all about? That was his wife.
Guys, you're talking about a movie directed by the guy who made Donnie Darko. You're not supposed to fucking know what it is.
I
You're
like that
supposed to
they're
go along for the ride.
but
I
what
like that
hap-
there was this the scene with the son after he's just like, where'd all this water come from? How did you guys just appear there? Like he was
Yeah.
confused. Like I was like, yeah, dude, what the fuck is going on? And the dad just like,
That's the point.
That was very Donnie Darko.
That's the
family.
point. He's not giving you all the answers, Jake. You don't need the answers.
That was fun.
Go
though.
for the
that was
ride.
fun because
I thought that was
but
dope.
also
dumb.
the question is there he must have chosen the wrong path.
No, he chose the right one. I
Chose the
think he got to atone for his sin by having the mother sacrifice herself. You know what I thought was cool
She
about the
didn't
movie?
sacrifice herself. He had
She
to kill
basically
her.
did. Yeah, but she was okay with it. Like they could have just not been okay with it. Like she had to choose to die. Like she
But-
could be like, no, I
But
want, we'll
go
just
back
take
to
the money.
let's go back to that
We'll take
weird
the money.
water scene though. It's like why did he took
No, I
like a weird
think-
wormhole to water floating above their
Yeah.
bed.
The fuck was
and
that
why-
water
just-
portal?
And she was having a conversation with Frank Langella in the same library that the dad got caught up in the water shit in. And why did she just suddenly? Why was she just sleeping? She was just
Heavy
taking a nap.
library movies.
And then she's
Do
just
a
then
library movie draft.
it up. Weird guy floating. He's floating above their bed. What was the point of all that?
I don't know.
Hey, you remember like scenes where people are above these people? I don't think it really makes too much sense. Remember in Bo is Afraid, the guy's just above his fucking tub.
I get it,
And
but
he
like,
just like looks up, he falls on him. That
Why
shit's
even
crazy.
why spend the money to shoot that sequence of all that water when it doesn't even fucking like add anything or like do anything other than just have people being like,
It's
what?
aliens, dude.
It's aliens, dude. That's
Is
all
this
you need.
movie just meant to confuse people?
Honestly, Jake, have you seen his other movies? They are meant
Yeah.
to give you a bunch of information and never resolve it. Yes. So
Donnie
yes.
Darko, like I said, the director's
That's
cut
what it
kinda
is.
cleared
That's
things up,
100% what it
and
is.
Donnie Darko was at least interesting. It wasn't like what the fuck the whole time. It was like you
Donnie
kinda
Darko had a better
figured out. Donnie Darko had a better structure. Donnie
Donnie
Darko,
Darko had a better soundtrack. Donnie
character.
Darko had a better premise, to be honest. I
Right.
thought it was cool that the thing. But Donnie Darko also came out at a time in all of our lives to where that was something we'd never seen before,
I agree.
and that is something that
It
stuck
was
with
cool.
us because of
It was
that.
cool to think that
Yeah.
movie was cool.
And it was like a
Yes.
similar age and time, and it kind of
Yes.
got caught up. And
Richard-
that's a
yes.
cult movie. That is
Richard
that has
Kelly
fun.
is
That-
our age.
That's cool.
He's
Right.
our age, maybe a little older. So he made that movie. He's maybe like 42, 43. He made
Yeah.
that movie for
I think it was
people
like
that were
2001.
like
Makes
us.
sense.
You know what I mean? Like we were made to watch that movie.
Right. I think it came out when
Yeah.
when I was in high school or something
Yeah.
like early
And
high
he
school.
was probably like
so-
25 or 26.
Right. Yeah. He was early 20s when he made Donnie
Yeah.
Darko. I know that.
Yeah.
But then Southland Tales has
It's no
I
Jaws.
think another weird.
Well, yeah.
It's just a bunch of shit going on, and you have Stifler, Buffy, and The Rock trying to figure it out. Just like
I think
That's one
that
thing
movie's
is he
interesting.
likes his actors. He likes his
Yeah.
like famous of the time actors for sure. I couldn't help but thinking though I did think Cameron Diaz was great in this, and I think this might be like, in my opinion, one of her better roles.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think if it was two lesser known, like if this movie was made today, it probably would have been two fucking unknown actors.
Yeah,
that,
keep the budget down.
Yeah, or much lesser. It wouldn't be. These were they A-list actors in 2009? I mean, Cameron Diaz.
was
Diaz.
100%, yeah.
I feel like she might have been at the end of her A-list though, because she
Nah,
is
2009,
really
she was still
much.
pretty big.
When
Then she
did-
still had to do all the Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's
I wanna
Angels
say-
movies were coming
Okay,
out.
yeah,
She
because I would
also
say
was
like
in-
early 2000s was more of her time, and this was late 2000s, but that's not too far removed, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Like,
Either
I
way,
think
I
after
think
this movie
I couldn't
became
help
her.
but think if it was two like lesser known, a little more like kind of like
You know who would be in this
indie
movie
actors, I
know who
might
would
have
be in this
enjoyed
movie
it a
now for
little
sure?
more in some
now?
weird
Florence
way.
Pugh. Florence Pugh would get cast in this
Sure.
movie.
She
She
would
would
have
be
been
cast
cool.
in this movie for sure.
Would've been
I mean, they basically
frowny,
just did
sad
this
cat,
movie
angry cat.
with that movie with her and Harry Styles is another
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
that was just like overly complicated and kind of just ended up being meh at the end.
Yeah, I read that script for the movie. It was
Was that
interesting.
is that Don't Worry Darlings? Is that what that movie's called? Or is
Yeah,
that
Don't Worry,
that
Darling,
different
yeah.
movie? Okay. Yeah, that movie was meh.
All right, so let me finish this at least.
Finish it up.
So they press the button. We see
She presses the
a
button.
guy shoot his wife and his kids locked in a room. We basically realize in that moment, like, holy shit, that's what caused this. Like they pressed the button, so that guy ended up killing his wife. At least that's where I think we're supposed to take from it.
I think
it
I
goes to
was
the police.
picking that up.
Yeah, it
So
goes
this
to police. They start to investigate it. They find out that there's some connection between NASA and the people that just got sick. Also, what we didn't mention is there's a scroll in the beginning of this movie. It's like a redactified document from NASA that talks about how one of their employees got like struck by lightning and now has a device that he's bringing to people randomly and they don't know why. So that sets it up all right away. That sets everything up right there. That really, it does. It sets it all up. You know
I guess,
right
but
there.
but then later they have this a scene of a dude describing the same shit, so they didn't really need it, but whatever.
I think that's probably something in post where one of the producers was like,
Probably.
if you put this there, it'll probably be a little bit better information,
This ending's
Maybe.
rad. Let's make his kid blind.
Okay. So anyway, long story short, a bunch of shit happens to where he goes through a portal and he's supposed to see like where his life should be.
Long story
Yes,
short,
just
it goes
skim
through
over
a
this
portal.
bullshit.
No big deal.
Like, well, I mean,
I hate it.
We talked. We
They're,
already
they're,
talked
they're,
about
they're
it.
a seemingly rich 70s family, but they're poor for some reason. So they
Well,
kill someone for
back
money.
back then everything was much more affordable. Though,
And
dude.
then
everything was
their
very affordable.
son gets retarded.
So there's some basically what happens is they push the button, they go through all this shit. He goes through a portal. You don't really know what's going on. It's aliens or religious or whatever Jake wants it to be.
At a
And
library.
It's
a
the
library.
lightning.
It's a library portal. We should probably include that. It's a library
Yeah, it's
portal.
a dope library.
And yeah,
It is pretty dope.
with
It's
all the weird
lightning guy's
people
wife.
that work for him.
It is the little
Yeah.
guy's wife, who's now an alien.
An alien?
Something. She's something different.
So
What that is will never be explained.
basically, Stewart comes back and is like, listen, your son is blind and deaf now. You guys have another choice. You can take this money, live blind and deaf with this kid, and live out the rest of your lives, and everything will be fine. Or since you push the button, Cameron Diaz, you have to die, and your son will be cured, and money will be put into a bank account that incurs interest. So he's going to be rich as fuck by the time he's 18.
Not only that, not
And-
only does she have to die, Marsden has to kill her.
Got to kill her. Yes. So
We-
basically,
Back up a little bit because there was some weird shit about the setup to
portal.
this scene. Because there was the part where they're at the wedding. There's a wedding scene,
Oh,
and somehow the couple split up, and Cameron Diaz sees her son getting abducted outside, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
she gets abducted
by
and
those
yeah.
people we were talking
and then
about
the same
before.
people,
By
and
those
then
people.
homeboy Marsden gets abducted. He gets a gun pointed at him by the guy who killed the wife in the previous cycle with the box. And he's all like, all this shit's going to happen to you, blah, blah, blah. I got to tell you this stuff. He's like, well, why'd you kill your wife? And he's like, I had to kill her or my daughter. I had to choose between the two. And then somehow it gets to them just getting dropped off at their house again.
Yeah.
There's
and
like
then
so
they're
much.
there.
What? and then
Well-
they're together, and like, why? How did they get brought together again? Just so they could bring them to
They got
Lintella?
chloroformed.
It was just
Also, how is where's the magic now? What's the magic that's making him blind and deaf? And then if he kills like
Yeah.
that, now there's like magic involved.
there's too much bullshit in this movie.
Aliens, bro.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, is it aliens? Is it magic? Is it religion? Like,
It's
what the
magic religious aliens.
it's just a bunch of bullshit. If it was, that's why I'm saying it should have been a little bit more clear with the ambiguity.
MRAs.
There's
This
way,
movie is directed by the guy who directed Donnie Darko.
way too much bullshit. Donnie Darko did
It's
not
such a
nearly
cop-out.
have bullshit. Donnie Darko had a little bit of clarity. It had dreams and fucking time travel. It was weird. It wasn't clear, but there was at least some things to follow. With this, there was just a bunch of bullshit.
Hey, hot
Okay.
take. I hate Donnie Darko too.
Okay, whether it's a cop out or not, it is what it is. It's like watching David Lynch. David Lynch movies don't fucking make sense. They're a bunch of scenes built around good actors that say interesting things that don't ever fucking make sense in the end. So
You could find
if you don't
sense
like
in
that,
some David
if you
Lynch
don't like that,
sometimes.
that's fine, but it doesn't make it bad.
At least David Lynch does it
So
good.
as bad as you say this movie is, as
Yeah.
uninteresting as you think the
Bad.
fluff might be, that's your
Really
fucking
bad.
opinion.
And it
It's
reminded
not
me of
bad.
David Lynch, but David Lynch can
Thank you for
execute well.
Thank you for the
He
for
executes
explaining what
it
an
a little
opinion
bit
is,
better, I
but
guess. I mean,
what's
I
your
think
opinion?
the person who executes it better and best is Nicholas Winding Refn. He's the perfect example of there's nothing going on, but it's fucking interesting.
No, he doesn't make
He does it best.
overly convoluted bullshit. And neither
Nicholas
does
Winding
David
Refn
Lynch.
has stories.
Does weird choices and makes weird shit happen, but this was a bunch of convoluted bullshit.
Have you seen the second season of Twin Peaks, the one they made in 2017?
I
It
don't think
is
I've
some.
seen that season.
It's great. I love the weirdness of it, but it's just like this to where all of this
Oh,
shit
yeah,
happens.
no, One Piece
and
is
then-
hard to watch.
but it's great. It's absolutely great because at the end you're just like, that's literally just someone who decided to make this thing, and it's 100% just his thing, and you just watched it and were like, you either enjoyed it or you didn't enjoy it. And I think that's where I keep comparing with David Lynch, is that you either like his movies or you don't. That's
Alright.
it. There's no in between.
You either like them or you don't, and that's fine. But I like even better the concept of this story, the idea of the box, and I think what I want is a different movie that does
Based
it
around that
better.
idea.
That does it
Yeah.
better. That does that
Okay.
same idea, but
It
that
goes
does it
more
How
better.
would
into
you
the
do
idea.
it? What's your idea? What would it be? Like, honestly, I'm asking that as a person who's like, what
what
do you
I
think
would
have
what I
made this
thought
movie
might
better?
have been cool is if instead of aliens and magic, it was much more psychological, to the point where they kind of brought it on themselves. They bring it on themselves that they kill, or that someone dies, or the reason someone dies is more internal of the person that killed them, rather than like making a choice of good or evil, of like that kind of thing. Like, it was maybe they worked themselves up about thinking about what it could be, that they eventually make it happen themselves, that kind of thing. I think that would have been that, and that's kind of where I thought it was going, is they're like, well, are we next? And like, if you worry about something like that for so long in a certain way and get so paranoid, you could bring upon whatever you're worried about. You could bring it upon yourself. You can manifest it because you're freaking out about it so much. I thought if they went that route, it would have been cool.
That would be actually
Yeah.
interesting. Like, they almost like taunt them, like they prey upon the weaknesses that they know they have and make them like destroy themselves.
Think about it, like, because like you were saying, to make that choice, because it's a choice of morality. It's not a choice. They didn't make it a choice of morality at the end. They made it a choice of him or her. Like, do you want your kid to be blind, or do you want your wife to be dead? Like that was just I don't think there was a moral, like, I don't think there's a wrong choice to be. I don't think there is a wrong choice to make in that situation.
So
Like, the
you think
fact-
if they would have chose to keep him deaf and blind but keep the money, that would have been okay too?
I think it would have been a little more of a selfish choice, but it would also have not killed her.
Yeah.
She would have still been around. They would have figured out, how to. They could have invested that money the way they said where I'm going to invest it. Like, oh, we don't know how to do that. Like, give it to me. We'll figure it out. We'll invest it. We'll pay for fucking colloquial implants, and we'll work on curing blindness. That'll be our life's mission. No, they could have done that.
Yo, Helen Keller got by, and that shit was a long time
Helen
ago.
Keller
And-
was
and the
killing the
modern
game.
science now, That dude was
That
about
was
to make
the
a fake.
70s. That was
Yeah,
the 70s.
He was gonna make a fake foot for his wife. He could have made some fake eyes for his
Yeah,
son.
he
So
would
are
have
you
employed
saying,
that
Jake,
knowledge.
that you would have done that? You would have chose the money and had your son be deaf and blind?
You get the money either way.
Yeah,
Get
but the
money to
kid
the
gets the money at 18. The kid's like 7.
I mean, that's if I
It's
would
a
have pushed
fucking hard
the
choice,
button in the beginning, dude. I'd see who
Would
knows.
you? Okay,
I
let's
don't-
go to that.
I don't
We should
think it's
finally
an
get that.
obvious
Would you
choice.
guys have pushed the button?
Yeah.
Would
I
you
would
guys
ask
push
more.
the button?
I would ask more
But-
questions.
But you're not allowed. Same situation. The exact way it went down in this movie. Would you have pushed the button? You had no more questions or answers. Would you have done it? Just because let's just go by what we saw in the movie. Like, let's go by that character. Like, would you have no questions asked more than she could or did? Would you have pushed the button?
Probably. I mean, I don't think if without knowing there would be zero repercussions. I don't think I'd push the button. If there was like, yo, nothing bad will happen other than random person will die and you get 1 million. If none of the follow up shit would have gone down, I would have been like, all right, button. But it would have been too much of like, there seems to be a catch here other than the person dying. It seems to be a bit more of like, there's something, there's more to this. But probably.
I don't think I would believe it.
I probably would have put a push button.
I just don't think I would believe it. Whether I believe the money was going to come or if someone really did die, like I almost feel like I wouldn't be able to do it because I would almost have to know if it happened or not. Like I would
Yeah,
have to
that's
see
true,
the,
too.
the truth. Like so, I think I wouldn't. My first impression, at least, I wouldn't push the button because I was my friend. He's like, well, like, is any of this even like? How do I know any of this is even real? Like that would be my thing.
Also, I would have been like, you got a few more of those briefcases because that's definitely not $1 million cash. That's like that looked like $100,000 maybe. That little briefcase, but that wasn't $1 million, dude.
It made
No
me
way.
think that each stack was $100,000 and he had 10 stacks. That's what I thought.
Damn, you guys were counting.
Yeah,
money.
but yeah, that's not.
so
You
you,
gotta count the
so
money.
Jake would press it. Yes.
Probably.
Schwartz says no.
I have to. My first gut instinct is no. My first gut.
I
instinct.
press thinking that it's
We'd have
bullshit
to
would make
talk
me
about it.
want
yeah,
to press it more
if
because
you
I would be
not-
like
if
nothing's
you-
gonna happen.
If you
so,
don't think
boom.
anything's gonna happen, then what are the repercussions? There's nothing.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know. Is it real? Is it not? I would like to think it's not, but who fucking knows? That's the thing. I don't know. It's not the fact that I don't think it's real. It's just I don't know if it's real. That's what make me not do it because I don't want anyone to die. And what if like I guess see my first question wouldn't have been am I gonna die next? My first question would have probably been is someone who can't die going to die? Like someone like who holds the truth to a truce between something being good or bad and making the whole world different or something like that. That I guess that's kind of far fetched, but I would think about that. I'd be like, oh my god, what if like
Right. So
what if,
thinking
like-
about who's gonna die
what I mean?
is.
that's the harder part.
I feel
It's gotta
like
be
it's
someone completely
irrelevant
random.
though because you
Yeah.
could talk yourself in either way.
sure?
To me, it's like
That's the thing. I'm talking about gut instinct. is where
millions
I'm
of
going.
people die, or that sounds like maybe thousands of people die every day. Kind of, if you think about it like that, then it's like, all right, doesn't seem
Also,
to really.
when he goes,
matter.
when I'm just gonna
But-
reprogram it and give it to the next person, the next person's gonna fucking press it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like like people be pressing this thing,
That's why I do like that little twist of in like, and this is going to be someone you don't know.
and
Yeah.
then giving them
Yeah.
24 hours to think about it. That's the thing because gut instinct is no and was no to them.
Right.
But the fact that he
Sit on
left
it.
it there,
Yeah.
you're just
What about
looking
you,
at it,
Anthony?
you're thinking
What's
$1
your
million.
answer? You didn't answer yet.
I think after if I would probably do what Marsden did, take it apart and like see what's going on inside. After seeing that there's absolutely nothing going on inside, I almost certainly would press it. After looking at it and being like, there's no way he'll know if I press
Well, he
this.
says that in the movie. There's no way he'll know if you press this.
There's no way he'll know.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
at that point I would have convinced myself that there's no way he would even know, and this is just literally a button in a box, and I would press it.
Question: does he actually know, or is he just kind of like dropping off and has that cycle of time? Like every 24 hours, someone new has it. So every 24 hours, someone presses it because you sit on that shit until last minute and they're like, fuck it, every time. So it's like, does he actually know, or is it just
I think
as
he
usual.
part of the
actually
cycle.
knows. I think it would have been much cooler is if he didn't and they played on that. But I think because it
Right.
went the alien, like the over, this overseeing entity. I think because it went that route, they know who presses it. Yeah, it would have been cool if he came. And no matter what, he just busted out the $1 million, and depending on like their reaction, he's never been wrong because they always press it. It's like that way. And then the first people that don't, they're like, we still get the $1 million? And they're like, you didn't press it? And he's like, no. They're like, oh shit, high fives all around. Earth is saved, baby.
Imagine that's how it ended. It seemed like that.
Like someone
Yeah.
to push it. All right, we're
Yeah.
good. We're done.
Because that was the thing,
Experiment's
right?
over.
They're like, "How? When is this experiment over?" And he's like, "When they don't press the button."
Yeah.
Right. I think he says that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is
That's
interesting,
the
but I
movie.
just don't like that route. I think that, yeah, I think it's just, I just wish they went a different route with it.
Definitely. And the
I guess-
concept was not Richard Kelly's idea, so no credit to him.
Yeah, I don't think I give credit to R. Kelly. Oh,
Yeah.
You don't give
Every-
the good credit or bad credit.
Everything
any
that
credit.
he did
But
be a
he's the
part
only
of.
guy who can get the credit. What do you mean? Like, what credit are you not giving him?
the cool
I'm
part
not
of
giving-
this
Director of the movie, which
movie,
credit
the
are you
cool,
giving?
the cool
the
part of
good
this
part.
movie, Richard was a Richard Matheson short story.
Okay, that's what you're saying. I wasn't sure what you were saying.
Yeah.
I thought it looked
The
cool.
idea wasn't
Multiple
his.
times I was like, "Oh, that was a cool shot." Like multiple times I said that to myself. So I thought it was very.
Yeah, I thought it looked very cool. Looked fairy tale.
Wow, I can actually hear you when you bring the mic up.
Can you hear me now?
It's right here the whole time. It's literally this far from me. It's right here.
When you put it to
Idiot.
your mouth, it sounds better.
Well, I don't want to be like this. Like, I don't want to be like this. I just
Don't do
it
that.
like
There
this.
you go. That sounds good.
Fist length is what I learned is
Yeah,
the
fist it.
proper.
I am this far away. My thumb is right here. Look, my
That
thumb
sounds
is in
good.
the mic.
Maintain that distance.
Great.
In the mic. That's how it is.
Great. Sound great.
Sound great.
All right, where are we at in this story?
That's it. We just said it.
He
She
dies
dies.
at the end. He died.
They
Yeah,
press
she
the
does.
button. He goes in a water portal. They squirt all over the bed, and it's over.
Yeah.
So when he goes in the car, what
Where all
car
this
is
water
he
come
getting in?
from?
Where's he going?
Your mother.
Okay,
In the
that's
end,
another thing.
Let's
That's another thing I
talk.
had a
Let's talk
question
about how it ends.
Let me ask you this now. So the guy who killed the wife that tells him all the shit, he was on the run. In this one, he's basically said, "You and your son will be protected." Why did that? What was the difference between those two? Like, why did that happen? Is it because
That's
he?
what I'm asking.
What is that about?
There's no real answers to this bullshit movie.
What
That's the
what
problem.
he got in that fucking like Oldsmobile at the end, and they drove away. Like, what? Where is he going? That's not the cops.
No, I guess he's going.
Who are all
to
those people in
Coachella.
black? I get all
Maybe
these
he
people
go.
in black.
Oh shit! That's who the cult people are. Maybe the people who go with him.
He
that
become.
makes
They
sense.
become one of
They
those
become
guys.
his peeps.
And does
That
he
makes.
just
That's the
become
only
part of
sense
the
I
cult?
think we can make. Yeah, I think that's the only sense of it you can make.
And or he
just gets
goes to
taken
space.
over.
Either way, that's awesome. Yo, want to hear something crazy? I was researching this. This is totally off topic, but not off topic. So I
Not
guess
get too off topic.
William Shatner was allowed to take a trip to go into orbit. He did that because he was in Star Trek, and they were like, "You can do that. You're William Shatner." And he said he was so excited for it. This is an article you could read. He said he was so excited for it, but then when he got into space, he was like terrified, and he hated it. And he was like, he's never been able. He says like he didn't even look at the sky anymore because of how scary it was to be in like eternal blackness. He said it was like being in like a giant fucking closet. That's
Yeah.
craziness. That's crazy. That's
He's
just
also
cool.
90 years old.
Well, still though, like you think I never
Now.
thought about it like that. Like I never thought about that, right?
When he went to
It's like-
space? No, that was recent.
was it? I thought it was like 10, 20 years ago. Actually, why'd it be 20 years ago? You're right.
If it was for the Star Trek show, it would have had to have been in the 60s.
Well, he
No, I
didn't go
think
to
it's-
space for the
definitely didn't
Star
happen.
Trek show.
He went to space because he was in Star
They
Trek.
shot
He-
that in Los
Oh,
Angeles.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you meant to like prepare for his character. I'm
No,
like, what?
no. They were basically like, look, you were in Star
Spoiler
Trek.
alert.
William Shatner. You're gonna go to space with us if you want to. You know what I mean?
That was, there's no real SS Minnow Johnson or whatever.
and to be,
He
was
recorded that
probably-
voiceover in space. He's like, space.
it was
The
probably
final
when J.J.
frontier.
Abrams' Star Trek came out and it like rebooted it. It was probably somewhere in like the 2010s.
When space tourism
No, it
started
was when all the
becoming-
millionaires went to space, and he like jumped on one of those. So that was like less than 10 years ago.
was like, yeah, the Richard Virgin guy was like, yo, get in.
Basically, he said he was terrified though, and I thought that was interesting.
Sounds
Why?
terrifying.
He went
Because you
in
never think about
October
it like that.
13th, 2021. 2 years ago, he went.
All right.
So how old
He's
is he?
100 years old.
He's like literally what, 90? I think he's literally 90, or is he literally 100?
92.
Okay, so he was 90. He actually was 90. You were right.
That's awesome. All right, now let's talk about one more thing before we hang this up. Why has Richard Kelly made another movie?
Because he sucks at making
Same-
movies.
Same reason fucking Stephen King hasn't made another movie.
Yeah.
Made enough dog shit where they're like, all right, we gave you 2 movies after the one decent one, and you fucked up. And apparently he probably hasn't come up with any good ideas. If maybe he would at least be writing some scripts, right?
I mean, he wrote Domino, but that was it. I think he was commissioned to write that by
Yeah.
Tony Scott.
And when it was Domino, like that was
after this, like right after this, I think.
10 years ago.
Yeah. No, longer than that.
Over 10 years?
2000
Yeah, dude.
2007, 2008.
Well, this was 2009, so it would have been after this. Unless we're talking Richard Kelly timelines, or before it is time doesn't matter.
I wonder what Richard Kelly is doing now. I wonder what he's doing for work.
He's probably standing on the fucking side of the road with his, holding a sign like another jackass.
Maybe.
He's like, I'm striking. I haven't written a fucking good thing in 10 years, but I'm striking.
Yeah.
That's probably what he's
What
doing.
are you striking from? Shitty scripts?
Yeah.
Damn, you guys hate Richard Kelly. All right, well,
Yeah. I hate
what do you rate this
strikes
movie?
and Richard Kelly.
What do you rate this movie?
August 2nd, 2023, this month, Richard Kelly says he has many things in development with some major studios.
I've heard people say that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember there was a guy who called you earlier this year that was like, oh, yo, I got a bunch of projects, and he's just like listed like 3 projects for you, Anthony. You working on any of those?
Yeah, no.
We were actually on the
Weird,
phone with you when he
weird.
called. Remember on
Yeah,
this
yeah,
with
yeah,
you when we
yeah.
called.
Exactly. Just saying.
I
not
have
sa-
so
I'm not
many
dropping
things
names.
in development and have been so rigorously focused on working on all of them. Yeah, can you be specific, buddy? I'm working with studios. It's like a guy who doesn't actually know what he's talking about. You know, I got things going on with the studios.
Right. Exactly.
On a lot of stuff, he says. There's so much in the planning stages. It sounds like he's got nothing going on.
Who is he?
I'm planning to write. I got a lot of ideas.
A worldofreal.com interview.
Got a lot of ideas.
Got a lot of ideas, got a lot of things. I know studios, there's people in them.
People are really excited.
I made Donnie
lot of people-
You know what the
Everyone's talking
crazy
about it.
part is? You know what the crazy part is? Now that you can make a movie on Netflix and Netflix can give you any amount of money, I guarantee if Richard Kelly went to Netflix with an idea, they would be like, yeah, here's $5 million. You can go make this movie. Like, you know what I mean? That's probably how easy it would be for him because he's already made these movies. Like, Netflix makes a lot of bullshit. And, like, if Richard Kelly was like, yo, I have a script, and he's like, they'd be like, here's $5 million. They'd give it to him. So maybe he's just not writing movies. You know what I mean?
He's got a few things going on, apparently.
He's got a lot going on, a lot of studios, a lot of ideas, all in the beginning stages.
All right, what do you rate it?
I give it a solid 4.9999999.
Damn. Okay.
I really wanted to give it a 5.
Yeah,
Jake?
I'm giving him in the 4, like 4.1.
I'm going to give 6.0.
All right. Oh,
Ray doesn't agree with that.
almost a 5 average.
It's
Very
fine. It's
middle
fine.
of the road. Very much.
It's fine. It's just a disappointment. That's what.
Yeah.
This is one of the only movies to receive a F in like a cinema score, like rated by like a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's got a 44 on Rotten Tomatoes and has a 5.1 on IMDb. So 5.1.
We're
very,
right,
very,
we're right where we
very-
said it.
Yeah, we always hit around the IMDb critical score. I've noticed is often similar.
I
So
wanted
yeah.
to like it better, but I didn't.
Same. I wanted it to be better for sure, but it sucked.
Is what I will say at your funeral.
Wish he was a better man, but he sucked.
I really liked Jake.
Good
I just wish
riddance.
He could have been better, but he wasn't. So later, bro.
So fuck Richard Kelly.
That'd be fucked.
Just kidding.
Stood up
Shout
to
out to
Never
our
say
Kells.
that, Jake. I love you. Shut up. All right.
Just for someone to say that at a funeral, they go out of their way to speak. They're like, not
All right,
so
thanks.
great.
And that's everybody that wanted to talk. No, actually, if you don't mind, if everybody just sit back down, everybody.
Disappointing.
You bring your own mic, so you actually have a
Sit
mic.
back down. Sit
Yeah.
back down. No, the mic is off.
Plug
I
this
brought my
in.
own. This one's on.
This one's Bluetooth. I put a speaker up top earlier.
It's like it's
It's
like
echoing.
the Crypt Keeper helped me. It's like the people that yell religious things at you on the street.
Oh, I love these people.
Jake's dad.
Why would my dad do that?
All right, thanks for listening to Making Me Watch Movies on the Making Me Watch Movies Network. This episode is brought to you by Ari Cameras. Ari Cameras are the best. Wouldn't it be
All right,
rad? Isn't it
James
rad?
Deegans.
I love how like we listen to podcasts and they're like, yeah, this episode's brought to you by Fleshlight and BetterHelp, which are two things that you should not mix. And the
Therapy and masturbation.
and then the Deacons podcast is like, this episode's brought to you by Ari Equipment and a fucking like the country of Germany and fucking Mercedes Benz. Jesus.
Me undies.
James is killing it. I'm fucking. I would be happy with a Me Undies.
Right.
Fucking.
James
what-
doesn't fuck around, dude. James
Doesn't
goes
fuck around.
hard.
She's like never mind. Shout out to James. Shout out to the Deacons podcast. Team Deacons. Team Deacons podcast.
And
That
Me
might be the
Undies,
best
if you're
podcast
listening,
ever.
Me Undies, we will gladly take the sponsorship.
Ever.
If anyone wants
Bobby.
to sponsor us.
Ricky Bobby.
Does anyone listen to this far?